We're starting with Raw, which went off the air with one of the most shocking scenes we've seen in years, as The Rock left Cody Rhodes a bloody mess in the pouring rain in Chicago. This segment has had everybody talking, and according to sources who spoke to Ringside News, The Rock, Rhodes, and Triple H himself were all instrumental in its crafting. The Rock showed an aggression fans haven't seen from him in a very long time, as this segment has proven to be a highlight on the Brahma Bull's road to WrestleMania 40. Mercedes Moné was on commentary to watch a four-way match between Kris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Anna Jay, and Skye Blue with a TBS title opportunity on the line. Stokely Hathaway running back up the ramp so he could accompany Stat and Willow separately was funny, and this match was high energy right from the jump. All four wrestlers were given individual moments to stand out even during the picture-in-picture section, and Blue hit a nice kick on Statlander on the apron. There was a weird moment when Anna tried to pin Stat and Blue at the same time, but Stat's shoulders weren't down, but this was a small issue in an otherwise fine match. Moné seemed most focused on Statlander and Nightingale as she watched from the table, which may have telegraphed the outcome a bit, as Willow got the win. As soon as it was over, Julia Hart attacked Willow from behind with the title belt, which came after a decent match which had some pacing issues. Willow getting the win was certainly the right call, and a title win for Nightingale could be part of the road to her inevitable match with Mercedes Moné. Will Ospreay kicked off the show to face Katsuyori Shibata, and AEW played highlights from their last encounter 7 years ago in Japan. Ospreay's AEW entrance is pretty good as there's a crowd participation, and it feels unique to him and bodes well for his future. The two talented stars played it safe for the first few minutes as they had some nice technical exchanges, but never tried to go too quickly, but did a good job progressively picking up the pace. As the pair integrated bigger moves into the match, they made this feel like it went from a standard exhibition to a personal battle, and gave the fans in attendance their money's worth. Even the one time they made a noticeable mistake, Shibata made it look intentional by transitioning into a submission, a testament to his in-ring awareness. Few people can no-sell a stiff chop as convincingly as Shibata, and on the other side of things, Ospreay did a lot of good selling to make Shibata look legit. Even the announcers sounded surprised by how good this was before Ospreay got the win with a hidden blade, and the bow of respect to Shibata was the cherry on top. This week's Dynamite saw the All Elite promotion continue on the road to the Dynasty pay-per-view, but also saw a very special surprise cameo. During the segment, Darby Allin appeared alongside Tony Hawk and disclosed his plan to embark on a daring journey to climb Mount Everest in support of Hawk's foundation. The skate park project aims to empower underserved communities by facilitating the creation of safe and inclusive public skate parks for the youth. Hawk was able to promote his foundation on live TV, and his dedication to this cause shone through with his appearance on AEW Dynamite. In a delightful display of camaraderie, Hawk further encouraged the audience by demonstrating 2 skate tricks using Allin's cast, despite the wrestler nursing a broken foot. Allin won't be climbing Everest just yet due to his injury, but plans on doing so when he's healed, and will be scaling the mountain with a very good cause in mind. On Raw, Drew McIntyre had a heated promo battle with both CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and for much of the segment, the savior of WrestleMania sat at the commentary table. As seen in footage making the rounds online, a fan was heckling Drew McIntyre by stating that he sucked, but the Scottish Warrior put an end to this by flashing from under his kilt. The fan quickly stopped their taunting, and Pat McAfee was also taken aback by the flashing, and while tradition is for Scotsmen to wear nothing under their kilt, that wasn't the case this time. McIntyre did have something under his kilt, but that didn't make this flashing any less wild for the fan, as the Scottish Warrior continues to have a blast in his heel role on WWE TV. Drew McIntyre is on the precipice of one of the biggest victories of his career at WrestleMania 40, but this spot comes amid a lot of talk about his contract, which is set to expire in 2024. In an update from PW Insider, it is stated that the Scottish Warrior has mentioned to his close circle of people that he still hasn't locked in a new WWE deal, despite his Mania spotlight. Despite this, the belief is that everyone is working under the understanding that a new deal will be struck, and we'll have to see if this indeed happens before McIntyre's contract is up. It was on this week's Raw that McIntyre was part of an epic promo segment with CM Punk and Seth Rollins that saw a surprising reference to former WWE chairman Vince McMahon. As McIntyre spoke of being dubbed the Chosen One, Punk dared him to say who gave him that moniker, which was McMahon himself back in 2009. Given the allegations and resignation of McMahon, this was certainly a surprise, and PW Insider reports that there was a hush backstage when it happened on Raw. After that moment had passed though, everything went back to normal, and there was no fallout for the reference whatsoever to the comment from Punk. All three men were granted greater creative leeway with this promo, something that wouldn't have happened under McMahon, which led to the ex-CEO being mentioned on this week's Raw. When Ronda Rousey joined WWE in 2018, the company wasted no time in pushing her to the top, as she'd decimate every opponent and be Raw Women's Champion by SummerSlam. It wouldn't be until April 2019 at WrestleMania 35 that Rousey would take her first loss to Becky Lynch, who had some choice words for the former superstar this week. Sitting down with the MMA Hour, Lynch discussed Rousey's transition from MMA to WWE and how there was a false opinion that wrestling would be a natural fit for the UFC alum. She said, "She was coming off of a different industry. She was a star, and she should have been handled differently in terms of... I think she had a great first outing that everybody thought, oh, she can wrestle. I mean this with respect, but she couldn't wrestle. What we do isn't something that you can just have one good match and then, okay, yeah, I'm off to the races. It's a craft, and you have to learn your craft, and you have to be diligent about learning your craft." Everybody treated Ronda like she already knew it because when she first came in, she was good in that first bout. But she was also working with Kurt Angle. She was working with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. It was a well-rehearsed match because everybody wanted her to succeed. And then it was like, okay, she can do this, off to the races. And that was mishandling her because she was a star in her own right and she'd done so much for MMA. Lynch said that Rousey was prematurely thrust into the spotlight without ample time to develop her wrestling skills, and that this transition wasn't done well. The man compared her own situation to Rousey, saying how she loved WWE and sought out being a superstar, and so her experience in the company varied wildly from Ronda Rousey. Rousey and Lynch are two of WWE's most successful women of all time, but their circumstances were far different, with Lynch believing too much came too soon for Ronda. On April 5th, WWE will host its Hall of Fame that'll see Paul Heyman headline in Philadelphia in a class including the US Express, Bull Nakano, Muhammad Ali, and Thunderbolt Patterson. Considered one of the best talkers of all time, fans are eager to hear what Heyman will say, and on The Rich Eisen Show, Heyman was asked about his preparedness for the occasion. Heyman confessed that he hasn't meticulously planned out his speech, but rather intends to gauge the atmosphere of the night and go with the flow. Uncertain of the audience's expectations, Heyman pondered aloud as to what the crowd will want him to talk about, as he explained, "I don't know what the crowd itself is expecting from me. Is this the crowd that wants me to talk about the modern-day WWE and Roman Reigns and the Bloodline and the WrestleMania main event of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes? Is this a crowd that, in Philadelphia, wants to talk about ECW? Is this a crowd that's looking for some inspiration and a speech about pursuing one's own dreams? I really won't know until I take the temperature of the room that night." Adhering to the fundamental principle of knowing one's audience, Heyman expressed confidence in adapting his speech to resonate with the attendees once he senses their vibe. Whatever Heyman has to say next week, there'll be few wrestling fans who believe he doesn't deserve the induction, and we're sure his speech will be gripping as he enters the Hall of Fame. Now, this year's WWE Hall of Fame will not see Bray Wyatt inducted, despite many believing he would receive the nod after his tragic passing in August of last year. Speaking to WrestleBinge, Wyatt's father Mike Rotunda spoke about his son and said he thought WWE would induct his son this year and that they'd go into the Hall of Fame together. Rotunda, one half of the US Express, then added that WWE has reassessed the situation and must believe it's too soon for Wyatt's induction, especially given the stress it had put on the family. Bray Wyatt will go into the WWE Hall of Fame, but just not this year, but expect a heartfelt induction for the late superstar when the time is right. During this week's WWE NXT, the War Dogs defeated Alpha Academy's Otis and Akira Tozawa, preventing the Faces from securing a spot in the tag title match at Stand and Deliver. While Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin may have got the win, it wasn't without cost, as on Instagram, Corbin shared a video of himself being clotheslined by Otis mid-match. Corbin explained that the big bear paw of Otis left him having to glue his ear back together, but added that he loves the physicality of this recent match. The War Dogs will defend at Stand and Deliver against a team that'll be decided on next week's NXT, as the LWO, the OC, and Nathan Frazier and Axiom will face off for the title shot. As for Alpha Academy, they have vowed to win Tag Team Gold somewhere down the line, but whether that happens or not, it won't be at WWE NXT Stand and Deliver on April 6th. With WrestleMania 40 mere days away, WWE is bringing in some big names for its week of activities, but right now, Hulk Hogan hasn't been confirmed publicly for any role. According to PW Insider, WWE is in discussions to involve Hulk Hogan in some capacity during WrestleMania 40 weekend, but there's no word on what capacity this would be. It's unlikely that Hogan will participate in any storylines, but WWE aims to have him make an appearance during the event's festivities, as Hulkamania could be running wild in Philly. More from Raw, as Ivar was supposed to face Andrade this week, but was pulled from the show and replaced by Giovanni Vinci, leading to speculation as to the Vikings' status. Fightful Select reports that Ivar's absence isn't anticipated to be a long one, and clarified that an X-ray Ivar showed on Twitter was from a previous neck injury, not a current one. It had been previously reported that Ivar isn't expected to be out for long, but that there's still no word on what exactly led to the Viking Raider being medically disqualified from this show. Ivar has expressed his frustration regarding being sidelined from the match, and as WrestleMania looms closer, fans are wondering when Ivar will return to the squared circle. Back to AEW Dynamite, as Swerve Strickland, complete with Prince Nana's Always Fun Dancing, took on Konosuke Takeshita, who as usual had Don Callis there by his side. Swerve extended a hand and Takeshita took it, but neither wanted to let go, so it turned into a struggle that led to an exchange of submissions. Takeshita had a power and height advantage, but not enough to dominate his opponent, and it was only enough to overpower him occasionally. These are two guys who have built reputations in AEW for putting on great matches every time they come through the tunnel, so there were high expectations on them. Swerve tried to do a flip over the top rope into a Hurricane Rana, but he appeared to take it too slow and almost didn't complete the rotation in a rare slip-up for the popular star. The DDT Swerve hit in the corner more than made up for this, and the way Takeshita hit the mat was nuts and got a huge reaction from the crowd. Both competitors did an admirable job making this an entertaining main event, but it was going to be almost impossible for anyone to top what we saw between Ospreay and Shibata. The pair went into overtime, and while Takeshita kicked out of a Swerve stomp, he was unable to kick out of big pressure, and Strickland got the hard-fought win. As Swerve celebrated in the ring, Samoa Joe gave a quick interview backstage, and it's telling that AEW is keeping its world champion and Strickland so closely integrated. Dynamite saw the Young Bucks face Private Party, and the last time these teams met in a tag tournament, Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy scored an upset win over the Jackson brothers. The Bucks were there to make sure there wasn't a repeat performance, and in an interview with Renee Paquette, looked like crooked real estate developers from Florida. The pair also changed into different colored suits just for this match, and it was Matt and Cassidy that started for their teams with a tense exchange that gave way to a fight. The Bucks continued playing up their heel persona, so Quinn and Cassidy defaulted to the babyface roles, even though they have also worked as heels recently. This match had a lot of great spots, including a double flip into super kicks and a fantastic execution of Gin and Juice by Private Party, but the Bucks screwed up the EVP trigger a bit. The match fell into the trap a lot of AEW tag matches fall into, in that they often relied too much on double team spots to the point that it felt like tags were meaningless. Several near falls were teased to make it look like Private Party may win before Quinn missed a 630 and was taken down by the dirty-looking EVP trigger. In the World Tag Title Tournament quarterfinals, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett faced the best friends Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Cassidy exploding out of the gate to go after Taven was a nice change of pace and a surprising display of aggression, and both teams favored a quicker pace. Cassidy was showing a lot more emotion than usual, which has been a bit of a trend since he lost the international title to Roderick Strong. Even though this match had plenty of moments when it was easy to forget who was legal, just like we saw during Bucks vs. Private Party, though it felt less jarring this time around. It's hard to really pinpoint why, but it may just be that the four men in this match managed their spots and their time better than the earlier match. Beretta was given time to shine, though his gear looked almost too similar to Taven's attire, and after Strong and Chuck Taylor got involved, it was the best friends who got the win to advance. More from WWE NXT, as the tag match on this week's show caught a lot of attention, and one moment from the bout between the War Dogs and the Alpha Academy has been going viral. The spot in question features Braun Breaker on Otis's shoulder as Akira Tozawa goes for a dive, but Breaker catches Akira in midair and swings into a slam on the Japanese superstar. This spot has been making a buzz online as well as within NXT, as Fightful reports that this spot got a big reaction backstage when it happened. Breaker was officially called up to SmackDown last month, but is continuing work in NXT as a tag champion, but no matter what brand, Braun is certainly impressing people backstage. Back to WrestleMania, as the showcase of the Immortals has always been tied to celebrity culture, and this year's show will be no different. On Instagram, battle rapper Meek Mill directly stated to Triple H that his sons wanted to come to see WrestleMania 40, and the game said that the rapper should clear his schedule. Meek Mill has also collaborated with WWE in the past, so his appearance at the showcase of the Immortals would not be unexpected, as he had a limited edition shirt with WWE. Mill has also said in the past that he loved watching wrestling as a kid and always watched SmackDown back on Thursday nights, and now he and his boys will have seats in Philly. Now, Will Ospreay has established himself as one of the best wrestlers in the world today, and recently, the British star did what he could to benefit wrestling in Uganda. On social media, the promoter of Uganda's soft ground wrestling promotion revealed that they have 200 boys and girls they're trying to help through wrestling, some of which are orphans. Ospreay took notice of this and decided to help Uganda's wrestling enthusiasts by donating $2,000, while stating his intentions to come to Uganda to wrestle them one day. Will's very generous donation will help the promotion install a proper ring, and he hopes that this will help the promotion train the young wrestlers and help change their lives. Will Ospreay's days on the indies may be up, but he clearly cares a lot for those outside AEW, as his incredibly generous donation made clear this week.